Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm talking about the square of Moon and Uranus in the composite chart or Davison relationship chart, whichever you prefer. So, Moon square Uranus in the composite chart. This aspect, whenever I see it, it's like ding, 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 gotta talk about this, especially if it's in a close orb. It can be pretty troublesome. Um, it generally shows a relationship with a higher level of emotional excitement and exhilaration than maybe any relationship that you've ever had. There's something about this relationship that emotionally shocks you and changes your life in some drastic way where you can look at yourself like, before this relationship and after this relationship and see the emotional changes that transpired. Usually for the better, unless we've got, a lot of really other tense stuff too. Um, it does have this effect of like a sudden shocking change to ourselves and our emotional nature. So it's a very interesting one to see. It's very common to see in a relationship where you're dating someone from a different background or there's just something different about the connection. For example, maybe it's the first time you've dated someone that's from a certain religion or who's, a lot older than you or a lot younger than you or is just coming from a different belief system, different family upbringing, or there's just like some major differences as far as the way that we have lived or been brought up in, or emotionally. This is a person that reacts emotionally very different than you do. There's just something very unique about this square and the relationship. And I have seen it in some long-term married couples. So it's not an aspect that shows that you can't be together long term, but it can show that it's very challenging to be together long term because emotionally you shock each other, you upset each other emotionally without realizing it. The combined energy of your relationship emotionally is very abrupt and sudden and shocking and jarring. Like you can really piss each other off, you can really upset each other. The highs of the relationship are extremely high, and the lows are extremely low. This could be shown in a couple that breaks up and gets back together a lot. It could be that you have like crazy fights and then you resolve and you actually feel really good. So you can feel just as good together as you feel bad together. It just depends on what day it is, and yeah, it's a very exciting relationship. It's a very eccentric relationship. Yeah, something different about it. The people are very different. This is like a relationship from the outside. People can see you as an odd couple or a relationship like, how do those people get along? And if there isn't other good aspects in the composite chart that really are good, like really are easy and nice, you won't see this in a long-term relationship because it's just too difficult. But it's when it shows up in a composite chart and in a synastry that's otherwise very, very good and favorable that we have to deal with this one. And the recipe for dealing with it is how I've seen it work in couples that I know that have it, and it's been kind of like my research project. I've been studying this aspect for years, and how I've seen it work is when the couples do a lot of things apart. So, with this aspect, with Moon Uranus hard aspects, you generally don't feel emotionally fulfilled in the same ways. So, this is like a good example would be like a couple that takes vacations apart. I've seen that. You'll see them just not spending a lot of time together, not having that like super needy relationship, codependent relationship. It's like one person does this for fun and goes on this vacation, and the other person's over here in this part of the world and they enjoy that. And then they come back together and they get all hot and heavy and excited again. And then they separate again and they do their own separate thing. So it could be in a relationship that's very unconventional where maybe they don't even live together, or if it's a friendship, it works really well. It's just a sporadic bursts of emotional energy and enthusiasm, and then we don't see each other for a while, and then it's fine, and then we get back and we're all excited about each other again. So with this aspect, if you have it in your composite chart and you want to make the relationship work, giving each other a lot of space is the recipe. And then also just understanding that emotionally you are very different creatures and you need different things, and sometimes the relationship won't give you what you need for emotional fulfillment. You're going to get that outside the relationship with your own separate interests, okay? And you can really learn to appreciate the relationship for the unique expansion that it's brought you, because this one is a life changer. This is usually going to be a relationship that takes you from point A to point B, and you are just completely different because of it. So you want to really focus on the positive qualities of it and see how, like, this person, this relationship has changed your life and expanded your worldview in this huge way, and really be grateful for that and appreciate this person, and not try to pin them down to be like, what a relationship should look like. Like, if you're trying to make this relationship fit into a box and be like a conventional, normal relationship, it's never going to work. Both people are going to be very emotionally aggravated, and more fighting will ensue if you try to make it fit in a box, right? If you give yourself the freedom, you give yourselves the freedom to be who you are and understand you're different, value the relationship for what it is rather than trying to make it something that it isn't. And this can really be a fun one, because the excitement levels, the exhilaration levels are so high. There's so much exuberance in this relationship. There's so much eccentric genius. You can really come up with some amazing realizations because of this relationship, because it's just so expansive for you. It's so the element of Uranus in a relationship chart and a composite chart is that it shocks you into an awakening. It shocks you into a spiritual awakening, a genius awakening, awakening of certain understandings and ways of seeing the world and things that you could never have got without this aspect. So it's a really interesting one. I spent a lot of time studying it. Whenever I see it pop up in a composite chart, I'm always like, oh wow, okay, so they've got this. So not to downplay the difficulties of it, this could show up in the worst heartbreak of your life, because emotionally, it, like I said, it can be very jarring. You have to want to work on it. And if you don't have really strong compatibility otherwise, a relationship with this aspect will be short term. It will be a fling. It will be one that suddenly shocks you and awakens you, but that's all that it's meant to be. And that, that might be all that it is meant to be, right? But my advice is more for if you really do want to make this work and you have other strong compatible links, that's what you can do. So yeah, it's a very exciting, interesting one. Yeah, the closer in orb that it is, the more powerfully that it's going to be felt. You can look at the houses in the composite chart that Moon and Uranus are in to see where the conflict is, where you need to be open-minded, allow your partner freedom, allow you, like, both of you freedom to just be different in those areas, because if you expect them to be like you, you're in for a rude awakening, because you don't react similarly to emotional things. Which can be very exciting or very, very annoying. So just being aware of this aspect can do a lot of good, and I believe, like, help keep a relationship together. I have seen it in functioning relationships. It is more commonly seen in off-on relationships. So, sometimes couples with this aspect will break up for a bit and then get back together, and break up and get back together, and that's just kind of the vibe. But yeah, like with some strong Saturn and other nice aspects, it can be more stable, but yeah, it's just always going to show big differences in how you both emotionally react. Different upbringings, different lifestyles, kind of like the person is like an alien or something. Different interests, maybe. But if there's love there and you just give each other lots of space, it can work, and it is the most exciting relationship that you probably have ever had. So I'd love to know your experience of this aspect in the comments, you guys. Let me know. Um, yeah, it's an exciting one. I'm gonna do the opposition next too. I'm in a relationship with that one right now, so and I have had a relationship with this one too. So I know what I'm saying. I've direct firsthand experience and also studying charts too of other people. So yeah, I'd love to know your experience. This one is quite the aspect. So yeah. Let me know, you guys, your requests in the comments. Keep them coming to me in the comments and I'll add them to my list. And thanks so much for being here. Love you guys. Bye.